We have a wild bird that looks like it's stuck on something and can't get away. Yeah.
Because I can shine clear over, but it won't shine on the water. It seems like it disappears.
Get my light on. This is my awful kayak that has a hole in it. I can't see nothing. The bugs are crazy. Hey everyone, Teresa with Hick-A-Billy. Last night, a friend of mine went to go fishing and we found this bird that is tied up in a fishing line or something and she cannot get away. So it's next day here. We could not get her because she kept diving and there was no way we could hook that fishing line she's stuck on. So we have a new plan, and my kayak has a hole in it, so I only had about 20 minutes of water time to be able to be out there. So I got hooked up with another friend who has a kayak that doesn't have any holes in it, and now we're going to do another attempt at rescuing this bird.
So if you go on the road there, it said turn this way. There's a boat launch in the camp now.
So there's a bird right there, and she actually came a little bit closer to shore when we pulled up. So you can see she's trying to swim away, but she can't. She's hooked on something underwater, and I think it's a fishing line. And she dives down. So what we're going to do, our plan is, hopefully it works, is I'm going to put a fishing line. We're going to kayak it across. And the other two people are going to pull on it, and we're going to try and snag that fishing line so that we have control of her line, and we're going to bring her closer to shore since we know she can go to shore, and or close to shore anyway, and we can have better access to get her freed up. So let's see if we can get this girl saved. Hey everyone, I'm so sorry. So we had some technical difficulties along the way trying to get this bird. So I apologize that I don't have video. So the glare was so bad out there on my tablet screen that we couldn't see well enough to be able to make sure we were pointing in the right direction. And then my helpers, they couldn't actually run a camera and be doing this rescue thing at the same time. So we had to set that down, and I wasn't wanting to take my tablet along with me on the boat, since I was the one that was in the kayak and was going to handle this wild bird. So I really wish I had like a body cam. That would have been awesome, because this bird's reaction was kind of funny. So, but I'll tell you what happened. So hopefully that will be good enough. Maybe you can picture what was going on. So anyway, I'm trying to put this through in my head. Hey, I'm sorry, I'm parked in my driveway. So what happened was I got out in the... my cat. What are you doing? So, okay, so here's what happened. Sorry about the distraction here. So I got out on the kayak using my neighbor's kayak, and because she didn't feel comfortable handling a wild bird, and I had never handled a wild bird before, so I have no idea what to expect, but I was willing to do it because I wanted this bird to get away. So so we had several attempts to try to snag that fish line. It took us about 3 attempts. She kept diving under and getting past my fishing line, so we had to readjust it, and then I had to add extra weight. Sorry, excuse me. What I did was, because I was afraid my fishing line was going to snag on other things in the water, I put bobbers. So I put bobbers on the line as I was kayaking across from one helper to the other helper. And so I put a couple of bobbers, and then where the bird was kind of the general area, I put a weight to try and drop it down about maybe a foot or two to get below her feet so we could snag that fishing line. And then I put some bobbers on the other side to the other helper. And so that took a little bit of time. And I got another cat trying to come in here. But anyway, but it did. It took 3 attempts, and I got her. We finally snagged her, and immediately I saw this big heavy weight on the fishing line, and I know it wasn't the weight I put on my line, so I was like, great. So we snagged her. I pulled her up into the kayak, and got her in my lap, but so she was flapping, so her wings, in the meantime, when we snagged her and she tried to go down, she got tangled up in the fishing line, both of them, so I had to untangle her. But so this was not a duck, and I was told it's not a loon, but it's, an aquatic bird, but its beak was like this long and narrow and pointy, so I was afraid I was going to get stabbed by it. And then the other thing is she had a tiny head and a long neck, so it was kind of like a snake. And so the first thing I did was I grabbed her beak, and held her beak shut. And then one of the things that came to me, and she's screaming and cursing at me. And then I covered her head, because a lot of times with animals, if you cover their head and their eyes, they kind of calm down. And so I'm picturing in my head what's going on, right? So she's screaming and cursing at me and wanting to get away and cursing bad at me. Okay, this is what I'm hearing in my head. And then I get my hand, and then she's like screaming at me even worse, telling me to get my finger out of her eye. And I was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry, and I'm like trying to, so then I quit covering because I need 2 hands. I needed to untangle the fishing line out of her wings, so I was trying to hold her beak and keep her from getting out. Okay, where was I? I'm sorry, I had to stop the video. So, I was getting the wings untangled, and I got that free, and it was a struggle, because I'm still trying to hold that beak, and she's struggling and flapping her wings, and then I finally get to see where that fish line is, and she has a fish hook in her leg. I think it's like might even be like a number 10. It's a pretty big, it's a good size, decent sized fish hook. And where the hook part of the fishing hook, that was completely in, and it was just the straight line part of that fishing line that was on her leg. But I don't know how long she was in there. So, she, all her struggling would have just snagged and kept pulling and pulling tighter on there. So, she couldn't get out. So, that just over time just might have just really got in there. I have no idea how she would have snagged this thing underwater. So the first thing I thought was I'd better get the fishing line cut off of that hook before if she gets out. At least she's not carrying that line around. So I brought with me some needle nose pliers that have wire cutters on them. So I quickly, cut that line off, so she was not connected anymore. So if she got away, at least she had no string hanging off of her. And then I was like, I don't know how I'm gonna get this hook out, because it's in there pretty good. As she's still trying to flap, I had to kind of hold her, pin her down. And I went to get that hook out, and I just like a Band-Aid, just pulled that sucker, flipped it, got that sucker out there pretty quick. And oh my God, did she scream even louder. And so she was really, really irritated with me at that point. And so I could have let her go right away at that point, but I wanted to inspect her to make sure there were no other injuries on her or any other hooks and things like that. So I kind of inspected her undercarriage and, flipped her around and checked her fairly well, as best I could, with trying to hold her body and all that stuff. So as soon as I did, I'm assuming she's a girl. I keep calling her a girl, but I threw her off overboard, and I said, "Okay, you're free." You, she flipped around, faced me, and flared up like it was flared out like a snake. I'm trying to think of the name of the snake. I keep wanting to say diamondback, but anyway, her neck hair feathers flared out. I guess I'd be thinking of the Jurassic Park where those birds flare out. They got fins on the side. Her hair flared out. She had a mohawk up at the top go off, and she's just wings are out. She's floating above the water and like just screaming at me like she's just cursing the hell out of me. It was funny, and she sat there like that for like a few seconds, like almost 30 seconds, and just screaming at me, arms out, like on the defense. And so I said, "You're free." And I took my paddle, and I kind of shoved her away. And once she realized she was free and, I wasn't touching her anymore, she dived underwater and then like disappeared. And I was like, yes, right? I was like, thank God she got free, right? And so anyway, I was so excited. And then I was like, oh my God, where is she? Where is she? So one of my helpers spotted her quite a ways away. She come up out of the water. And so that was so exciting. I spent the night worrying about her. I thought maybe the fish hook was actually in her leg holding her rather than being at the bottom and her tied up in a fishing line. I worried if it was tied up in the fishing line, was it cutting the circulation off? Is she going to lose her foot? That kind of thing. So I was really worried about that. Where the puncture site where the fishing hook was in did not look like it was infected yet, but it still could be infected. So hopefully she doesn't lose her leg, but at least she's out and about. So, but anyway, I really, I really wish I had a camera on me while I was on board to show you guys. You could have seen what had happened, what I was doing, and but it was a spur of the moment. We weren't expecting to do this. We were just going out fishing the night before, and I can't sit back and watch an animal suffer like that. So I had to go do something. So since the evening was so dark and neither I nor my buddy Eric could actually swim very well. He wasn't comfortable actually going out there in the dark trying to get the birds, so it was absolutely going to be me that was going to be going out there. I can swim. I just don't swim super well, and if I was to be weighted down by heavy clothes that was to suck me down, I don't think I'd be able to get out of that. So I was a bit nervous about doing that, especially in the middle of the dark when I can't even see where the shore was. That's how dark it was. So anyway, yeah, that was pretty exciting. And so yeah, she's free. We got to free her. It was awesome. I feel really good. And just wanted to share that with everyone. The end of this clip, I'm going to show you the kayak. You'll see on top of the kayak the weight, the lead weight, and the fish hook is laying on the kayak, and you'll see that's what was. I mean, she wasn't a very big bird. I mean, she's smaller than a chicken, and so she had that heavy weight pulling her down. And when I pulled the rest of the line out, it was snagged really good. I had to pull pretty hard to get that line out, and I was like praying it wasn't a body at the other end. But thank God nothing came up in it, and then the line snapped. So I have no idea what was holding that thing down there. So anyway, guys, when you're out fishing and you see fishing line, anything that's laying on the shores, please, please, please pick them up, clean them up. Although it's other people doing it, and also water levels drop. So when people snag their fishing lines in the water and they can't get them out, the only option for them left to do is to break it, and you're never going to retrieve that. So, our reservoir has been drained down like drastically this year. So that's why all of this stuff is kind of surfacing. So if you're any place fishing and you see fishing line on the shores or somewhere within reach, please clean it up. I'd really appreciate that, and so would nature. So anyway, you guys all have a great day, and happy gardening and happy homesteading.